Hola, muy buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, welcoming you to tonight's En Casa con la Plaza. En Casa con la Plaza is our virtual programming, demonstrations, conversations, presentations, and performances. We've been at it since April of 2020. We're in session maybe 280, 85. Who's counting? Anyway, thank you for joining us. Thanks to our sponsors, Union Pacific Foundation and the Institute of Museum and Library Services. If you're on Facebook, we have the chat feature, the comment feature. You could ask questions, make comments. We'll be taking questions and we'll be presenting them after the conversation. If you're on Zoom, welcome as well. Use the Q&A to ask questions. Use the chat feature as well. Let us know that you're out there. Come on, a little shout out won't hurt. What's happening at La Plaza? Well, this weekend, all of our galleries are open, both at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes and La Plaza Cocina, which is our new museum right across the street on Spring Street. Let's see, we have LA Memo, we have Calle Principal, we have LA Starts Here, and the last 2 weekends of patriotism and conflict fighting for country and comunidad, an incredible exhibition you just got to see. So we're open 12 to 5, Wednesday through Sunday, including this weekend. Let's see, at La Plaza Cocina, we have Abuelita's Kitchen, Mexican Food Stories, a multimedia exhibition sharing the food stories of 10 indigenous, mestiza, Mexican-American, and Afro-Mexican abuelas. Photographs, text, a documentary film, kitchen artifacts, family recipes, and much, much more. You're really going to enjoy it. Let's see, at La Plaza Cocina, we started our cooking classes last weekend. We sold out our Thursday night class with Jocelyn Ramirez of Todo Verde, and then we sold out our Saturday morning class with Merced, one of the abuelas featured in Abuelita's Kitchen. It was an incredible, a really down-home cooking demonstration. And just this weekend, just yesterday here at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, we had a really nice panel discussion, Arte Beyond el Movimiento, with Judith Hernandez, Oscar Castillo, Arturo Urista, and Roberto Gutierrez, moderated by Rafael Barrientos Martinez of Ultimate Art Collection and our own Karen Cruz Hendon. You can check it out on our Facebook page. Let me stop here and welcome tonight's host, Dan Guerrero of Dan Guerrero Happy Hour. Please join us, Dan.
Hello there. Man, you got a little beehive going there. La Plaza de Beehive is what you should call it. My gosh.
And then plus tonight, after this, I'm going to go out to the dance floor. We have our second Summer of Salsa concert with Trombone and DJ Willie till 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to be out there dancing as soon as this is over. So let's hurry up, Dan.
The joint is just, wow. I beg your pardon. We're going to take our time. And now that I know you want me to go fast, I'm going to slow down on purpose.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, we are going to, well, I always say that this is a good one. I'm really excited tonight, but it's true. It's really true. This is something. So I think you should just wander off and but you stay around. Don't go off dancing and leave us hanging because we got photos you got to set up for us. Okay.
Okay, Dan, we'll see you in a little while.
Okay. I am excited about this. This is, well, there's considerable buzz around art circles these days, in particular Chicano art circles, because there's an incredibly important event coming up next week. Back in my day, we used to call them happenings. Oh, it's a happening. Sometimes they were ridiculous. Sometimes they were fantastic. This was going to be fantastic because the much anticipated and long awaited Cheech Marin Center for Chicano Art and Culture of the Riverside Art Museum, AKA, thank goodness, because that's long, the Cheech, opens to the public on June 18th. And it is going to be a spectacular event. And to say this has been a hurricane, I'm sure, getting it ready, and there's festivities around it and hanging the art. And we are so grateful that the inaugural artistic director is with us tonight. So I'm very appreciative of that. And she's probably glad to just sit down for a minute. So zoom in, please, Maria Esther Fernandez.
Ah, my timing. Ay, ay, ay.
Perfect. It's perfect. You're sitting on a sofa. I've been envisioning you all week with an iPhone and an iPad and a sandwich you're trying to get to. And I can't even imagine. It's got to be wild.
Yeah, it's been very busy, to say the least. A sandwich would have been nice. I feel sometimes we're just running around trying to get things going, but it's a good energy. We're all very excited, and with the artwork up, it keeps us going. That's what we're there for. So we're excited.
It has been a long time coming, and there has to be something about so long everything is going to happen and renderings and phone calls and envisioning, and then you go down there and they're really hanging the artwork, and it's got to be surreal in some way, I would think.
Yeah, well, it definitely is. I have to say, my colleagues were in it for the 5 years, which is super fast when you think about constructing or building a museum, which this wasn't necessarily a new build. But for me, I was hired in August. I moved to Riverside in January. And I feel like I'm the final leg of this 5 year, and it's nonstop. But the artwork, of course, started arriving a couple of months back, and it has been wonderful to open the crates and see what's coming, and very moving, at times emotional too. Although the collection has toured a lot, we haven't really seen all of these works quite in this way. So I think people will be blown away.
Oh, there's no question. I've been seeing certain photos and things, and your jaw drops. And seeing it in person, I can't even imagine. We are going to get to the specific artist and some of the artwork, a sneak peek, as it were. And we're going to get to your personal background. But first, I want to talk a little bit about. I've read quite a bit about the overall vision for the center, and about it being a community-focused center. And what exactly does that mean, and how are you going to attain that?
Sure. So in the rich tradition of the Riverside Art Museum that's been in Riverside for 60 years now, we're wanting to continue to engage community in quite the ways that they have. Of course, the Riverside Art Museum is an umbrella organization with two locations. There's the Riverside Art Museum, and then there's now the Cheech. But there's also a wonderful tradition of Chicano organizations that came out of the movement, and how they've been in service of community for many, many years. And that is a model to us, not just the museum model, which is obviously having a collection, caring for the collection, but also being a community center of sorts, where folks can feel like home, come in. We've been historically marginalized from mainstream contemporary art institutions. That goes without saying. And so I think the Cheech, we're striving to be a place where we can interrogate those practices, rethink about how museums work in community, and be an incubator of sorts. I mean, we're not necessarily going to get it right from the beginning, but we have wonderful community partners who are willing to roll their sleeves up with us and figure out what is this new museum / center going to be.
The support has to be fantastic. Everybody, I'm sure, wants to jump in and help and be a part of it and support it. It's just a very big deal. This is a very
overwhelming. I mean, when we moved down to here to Riverside, I was overwhelmed by the community support. Obviously, the city of Riverside has been wonderful. Cheech Marin, of course, with the wonderful collection, and of course the Riverside Art Museum, but really the families that have been donating for 5 years monthly to get onto that donor wall, to see young and old, the young and old just rolling up their sleeves. In fact, we had an elderly couple that came in today to help us fold t-shirts for the store. We've had just a lot of youth there, just whatever we need. The community has been there, and it's been inspiring and moving to see that kind of swell support.
Absolutely. And you spoke a little about a second ago, but the complexity of this coming about is Cheech did the happy hour, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And so it was still like, hello out there, they were still putting pieces together, but getting it together. And I want to read this because it sounds complicated. That it ever happened seems a milagro, because it's a public-private partnership between the Riverside Art Museum, the city of Riverside, of course, Cheech, and it is managed by the Riverside Art Museum, aka RAM. So it is its own entity, its own building, and we have a photo of it here, but it is part of the Riverside Art Museum. It's still part of it?
Absolutely. Riverside Art, or RAM, as we call it, is the umbrella organization. It's like a family, right? We have the Riverside Art Museum. We have two centers, the Julia Morgan, where it houses all of the exhibitions happening under the RAM. And then we have the Cheech now, the center that will be all of the programming that happens at the Cheech. We all work collaboratively. So I may work on things at the Julia Morgan building. I have colleagues that work at both. We really are, it's an interesting partnership. We are figuring it out as we go. There's certainly a lot of conversations around what does that mean to have these two centers? How will we activate both spaces? How are we in conversation? But it's been exciting, as well as the partnerships, with Cheech Marin, who is really involved in the collection. He's obviously very passionate about the collection, but he's passionate about the center and the legacy of the center and what we can do there. So, and then of course the city of Riverside. So it's a beautiful relationship. It's a work in progress. And we all are learning a lot about what our roles are and how we're going to work together.
You're breaking new ground. There's no model for this. I mean, maybe there is somewhere, but this is all new. And Cheech is a very smart man. The persona that we all know, Cheech, that is a brilliant man, smart. He is very smart. So
he knows a lot about art. He knows
gosh.
obviously a lot about business. He's extremely supportive. He knows how to be an advocate without, taking over. He respects our professionalism, and it's been a joy to work with Cheech. When we need something, he's there, pulling long hours with us. He is there whenever we call, and I think that's unique. I don't know. This is my first time working with a celebrity in this way. I've been in museums for about 16, 17 years, and he has just been a wealth of information and a great resource. So that's been wonderful.
Well, imagine for him, it's got to be a dream that's like, how could he have ever imagined this at some point? I mean, he started collecting art like 50 years ago when he was first touring with Chong, but we're going to get to that too. We're jumping everywhere, but we can do anything we want because we're grown-ups.
Exactly.
We have a rendering, I think, here, Abelardo, of Gallery 4. What is that, an Almaraz over there?
I'm trying to see. Some of these are these are maybe perhaps part of the collection. I have to say, I think I've seen 700 of the works. I don't know. Yes.
Well, now the building itself was a library, right? Wasn't it
Well, the building was a library, but this was a rendering that came with the architects. And so it's very different. It's similar, but different,
right.
Obviously through the construction phase.
Right.
And so the building was a library. It was built in the 60s. We've maintained a lot of the integrity and the unique architectural features of the building. It's wonderful. We've toured a few folks through in the community, and just even people that work at RAM who have been there and have been in the library, and they're emotional to see it turn into something else. And it's, it's not a new build, which we're really proud of. So we're repurposing a building that otherwise would have just sat there empty. And we're quite proud of that. So it's quirky, but it's amazing. It's state of the art. And we love that. That's what we love the most actually about it, is it's unique. It has been lived in and loved.
I love quirky. I'm very big on quirky.
Me too.
Now, I've read, of course, that Cheech has been described as a home for Chicano art, which is music to everyone's ears. Finally, a home, serious one for Chicano art. But that begs the question, what is Chicano art? And I know we
Absolutely.
could do 5 happy hours and maybe not really be able to
And not
describe
scratch
it.
the surface.
Correct. But I do have a quote from you that maybe will help us kickstart it. I read where you said, our community is complex, and Chicanx art is often presented as a monolith that comes out of Chicano movement, but it has evolved and grown, which indeed it has. So how, because I'm sure you have some newer artists we may not know, and then of course all the veteranos that we're going to talk about in a minute, and how they approach it, and the political landscape that's going on, because it did come out of the movimiento. But how can you tell us in your words Chicano art?
Well, I hesitate to define it because it means a lot of different things to our community. And we all have a very vested interest in it, obviously, because it's a source of great pride for us, cultural affirmation. It has helped us, see a flicker of ourselves, of recognition in a world that doesn't always treat us as well as historically and currently. So I think that's where the Cheech, we're hoping, will be a place for that dialogue of what actually is it. There's a lot of young folks today coming out of art school, coming out of art history departments, that they don't identify as Chicano, Chicanx, right? And to me, there's an education gap. There is an exhibition gap, although there's been a lot of wonderful work done by colleagues, La Plaza, VPAM, just a wonderful organizations in Southern California that have really supported this art. There's a lot of discussions and exhibitions to have, and so we're hoping we can have that dialogue. So there are people that don't identify, that are creating, in my opinion, as an art historian, Chicanx and Chicana, work. And one such is the, De La Torre brothers, right, who are binational.
Yes.
I know we're going to talk about that, so I don't mean to answer the question, but I think that's the complexity of the task at hand, is that we need to have this dialogue. And so we're hoping to have folks come out and do symposium, do art talks, do, casual, pláticas, so that folks can come out and really unpack this, because we're doing this every day. We're not showing Chicanx art. We're not showing Chicanx, Latinx art every, few years or any given, month out of the year. We're doing it every day.
Unbelievable. And speaking of the De La Torre brothers, this photo, my jaw dropped. Look at that. Now that is when you enter the front door, I believe it's a lenticular 26 feet high, created by the De La Torre brothers. I know they were born in Guadalajara, but they live here, right? And they
live in both Ensenada and in San Diego. So they're definitely, binational. They that's how they refer to themselves. They were born in Mexico, and so yeah, and they realize that their work is in conversation. It is Chicano. It is in conversation with a Chicanx art, for sure.
But tell us about lenticular art, because I know that it's like you see it from this angle, it looks this. Yes. Here it changes. So and what is not a painting? It's what the technique is.
It's too so. Well, you have to dance around. So when you go, you move around and you'll see 2 images. They're digitally rendered images that are then layered, printed in huge panels, layered on top of each other. And I'll be dating myself. I don't know if anyone ever bought a Cracker Jack box. That's actually a little before my time. And you would pull out those little. And then that's really the technology. And then you have it backlit. And then there's a glass in front of it. And so it's a way of playing with images. And as you know, their work is very layered. They work with material culture. They have so many images that they manipulate in their work. This is a natural progression to them in what could be considered a more two-dimensional form. And it's amazing. And it's that particular lenticular is an homage to the Inland Empire. They have they're featuring Coatlicue. And it's a really great story of why they were working with Coatlicue. They had met Yolanda Lopez in
one of your mentors.
Absolutely. A couple years ago, and they were with her in the Mission District, and they were talking about one of her paintings, Nuestra Madre, that features Coatlicue, and they were commenting how they have used Coatlicue in some work, and she said, well, you're not done with her. And so they weren't. They're not done with her. They kept working with her. And so Coatlicue was featured, Earth Goddess Coatlicue, and yeah, they talk about car culture. They talk about the dependence of, trucks and industry here in the Inland Empire. They talk about the climate change and they talk about the tension here of really trying to figure out how to address that. So it's a great piece.
It's so stunning. Oh yeah, I can't wait to see it. Now, Cheech's collection is huge. What is like 500 pieces? How many? It's gigantic. And I know that he gifted Ram, right, with like about 70 pieces.
Oh, no. He gifted just over 500 works to the Riverside Art Museum Permanent Collection.
Wow. Introducing 70 artists who did all that work, who were
it's actually more like 89. So we're as prolific and as much as that collection has traveled, as a lot of collectors do, we didn't really know the depth and the breadth, I feel, and I'm talking as myself as a viewer, someone who went and saw Chicano Visions at the De Young and other shows. And so I think again, folks will be blown away by the depth of the collection. It's by no means encyclopedic. He embraces that. He knows that. But it's definitely foundational in the attention it has brought to Chicanx art.
And I would imagine Ram itself probably got quite an education, a splash of it with all this art and all these artists, right?
Well, Riverside Art Museum hosted in 2017 Papel Chicano 2, which was a touring show of works on paper from the collection, and had toured other works. So they're definitely familiar with artists, BIPOC artists particularly. They've done some great work featuring Latinx artists. So yes and no. I would say yes and no. Again, I think even, I've worked with artists for many, many years, especially Chicana artists, and it has been interesting what I've been able to see and glean from that collection.
Well, it's like when I do research for some of my guests, and some of them I've known forever, Dolores or Eddie or whoever. And yet when I start doing my research, I discover like all these other things, and then you see it all together. So whereas you say, the collection and you know what it is, but there's got to be surprise. You open it up and go, oh, I forgot about this one. I mean, right?
Well, with that many, and that's the gift is that amount. So there's more. He certainly kept he has his own private collection that we have available for loan at the museum. So it's wonderful. We have access to the other works as well. And but it was a big gift that he gave from his own personal collection.
Wow.
This really was a testament not only to his passion for this, and that's, I think, what has struck me about working with Cheech is that he's unwavering in his belief that this is the most important American art movement. And there's something, having that kind of cheerleader, there's something about that is inspiring and really reinvigorating in terms of the work as a museum professional that I feel we need to do moving forward.
Are there going to be any of the I loved this the Chicanitas exhibition. Are there any of those small paintings there?
They're definitely part of the gift. Yes. I'm trying to think if we have any on view. Well, you'll have to see. We went bold with this opening with the exhibition. We spaced it so that people have, their eyes can rest. But it's a lot of strong large works that we went with this first
Yeah, I would think so.
iteration. We have a lot of work. Obviously, we weren't able to show every artist.
Of course.
Our approach was to begin crafting that narrative of Cheech as a collector, but also of the importance, the art historical importance of the collection and these works. And that's just one iteration in the inaugural year. We'll open another one towards the end of December in the new year that we are hoping to have more artists featured from the gift as well as the private collection.
And the trajectory of Chicano art, as you're saying, how it has evolved, and I would imagine you're doing that with the exhibitions to try and give a whole roadmap, as it were. I love, because this was VPAM.
Yes, absolutely.
We had this exhibition, and it was.
And we'll have those books on sale, by the way. Just a little plug for the La Tiendita. They're working really hard. Like I said, I told you earlier, we were folding T-shirts today, among a lot of other things.
There's a lot of money in merchandising. A lot of money.
Well, you know, we want people to feel that they have a place to come and, you know, to have. So yes, you can pick up your VPAM catalog of Chicanitas.
The artists, you know, listen, many of course are from Southern California, but they're from Santa Fe, they're from San Antonio, they're from everywhere. But some of our local people we love, we're going to look at some of their works. We have a little montage going here. Abelardo, Patsy Valdez.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's there.
Hold on, Abelardo, don't move them. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just, of course, Patsy is part of the collection. I know she's had a wonderful relationship with Cheech, and he's a fan and support of her work. She is in the inaugural, first iteration, I should say, of the inaugural exhibition. It was that particular painting to open the crate, just, you know, you do one of those, like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You feel like you're moving along with that painting. I think I can't say enough about the work. It's been amazing and emotional, really.
And Judith Hernandez, I love this too.
So what's been exciting about this is that, you know, Judith was an artist that was not actually in Cheech's collection originally. And so the Riverside Art Museum, through generous donors, has begun an acquisitions fund to and so Judith, this piece and a second were acquired in the last 2 years through generous donations. We are very highly invested in researching the collection, identifying gaps, and creating a thoughtful acquisitions plan so that we can work towards becoming more reflective of Chicanx art. This work is just amazing in person. The photographs really do not. Since I was working remotely, you know, from August, when I was hired through when I saw the first, you know, crates arriving in late March, the photographs I was inspired by, but it's just seeing the works in person, the depth and the layers and just the emotion that comes from these works. This work, of course, being about the femicides along the Juarez and El Paso border there.
Right.
And I want to say, actually, you'll have the scoop. We're featuring one of the first major retrospectives that will be curated at the Cheech, organized at the Cheech, is with Judith Hernandez in 2024.
And this one is called Juarez Quinceanera.
Juarez Quinceanera.
How large is the piece?
Oh my, trying to remember the dimensions here. It is about, I would say, like 3.5 feet, 4 feet tall.
That's good. Yeah.
It's substantial, and it's maybe 6 feet wide.
Wow.
It's a big piece, and it's again, very powerful.
It's powerful. It is powerful.
Absolutely.
Then we have Frank Romero, The Arrest of the Paleto.
That's 3 panels. That's actually
very,
very large. Well, no, it's 3 panels that go together to create this one work. It's very, very big, and folks will be blown away just standing in front of it. Obviously, a very powerful piece that speaks to an important, it's not really history. I think, the criminalization of our vendors and, typically immigrants to our communities is still occurring today.
Yes.
And so you have these bold works that speak to that history. And I think these are works that need to be seen and explored, and not only their content, but how they work, the artists, and how they render these powerful images that we perhaps experience in our communities every day.
Unfortunately. And Carlos Almaraz, Sunset Crash.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what can we say about Carlos? Amazing work. That was, again, another photograph that does not do the painting. Just the colors that come from that work are so amazing. I hate to follow. I could really just geek out about all of this in terms of the colors, and I standing in front of this work, the oranges and the reds, and it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I have a couple surprise photos for you.
Oh no, I know. No,
no, it's not you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Boy, you got
You
scared.
were freaking me out there. I was like, what
I can't wait. I can't wait till we get to your background now. This sounds good.
I'm gonna check and see who's on there. I don't know.
I took this photo. That's Carlos Almaraz and Frank Romero.
Yes. There you go. You took this photo. Okay, now I want to interview you. What happened? Why were you there?
Well, Carlos was my boyhood friend.
Wonderful.
We grew up together, and we went to New York together. He came back. I stayed 20 years, and on one of the trips back in the early 60s, he introduced me to Frank. So we go back a long way. So anyway, I moved back to LA in the early 80s. And so this photo has to be about 82, 83. And Frank, who has wedded several times, but this, I believe, was his first wife. She was a Wiley, and they had a ranch somewhere up north. And I'd gotten a new car because I came to LA, you need a car. And Carlos and Elsa and I drove up. And I guess we spent the weekend or something, but I found this recently, and I know I had taken several photos, but I don't know where the others are, but I love this one because they're busily working. And that background, is that an amazing background on the ranch?
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. Where is this ranch? Did you say?
I don't know. It's the Wiley Ranch. I guess they're quite well-known family. And I remember we traveled north. I honestly don't know. I should Google the Wileys.
I know. Now I have a homework when I.
Yeah, look, Google the Wiley.
Well, we're going to have to put you. So we received a grant to research the collection, artists, and to create just an archive of information that we can make public. So you're going to be on my list to call.
Oh yes, I'd love to. And then
see what you got there that we can learn from.
I'd love that, and do it quick. I'm no spring chicken.
Yeah.
We have another one too.
Oh,
This is John Valadez and Carlos had a studio on Spring Street. This is the 70s. And I've asked John 3 times. He's not going to tell me again. I always forget the name of this piece. That's John's piece. It's something about Candyland. I don't remember. But look how young John. You know John Valadez.
Yes. I had the honor of meeting him fairly recently. I've of course known about him and his work, and his work is also in the first iteration of the inaugural. Yes. So you have everybody here.
I love John. I love him so much. He's such a wonderful person. So yeah. What else was I? Okay, let's talk about you. Enough with this museum. Let's talk about you. Now are you scared?
No, yeah, no, and then what are you going to ask me? Is this where we get?
First, I want to toast you. Toast you.
I'll toast you with my coffee. I don't know if that's bad luck, but if you want me to stay away.
It's good luck for sure. You said that you got there physically, joined the Army in January, which is like 5 minutes ago. You're probably still looking for your spatula. But what was the process? Did they come after you? Did you hear about it and look into it, or how did it all come about in the beginning?
Well, so I have to go back 5 years when,
Do
I
it.
don't know if it was quite 5 years, when the announcement was made and there was like a press release that, and the LA Times covered it. And my mother, who was just an avid, Chicanx, Latinx art support, fan, and just very, very into the arts and performing arts particularly. She gave me the newspaper and said, "Hey, you need to read this. Look what's happening." And I just thought, wow, this is really exciting. I'm gonna have to kind of track this and get to know those folks and see what they're doing. I kept working in the Bay Area doing my thing. And then got word through some colleagues that the call had gone out, and then I was connected that way. And then the rest is history. I really, thought, okay, well, we'll see, I'll apply. I need to meet these people. It's my passion to curate and work, like I said, in Chicanx art, and didn't think, I just kept moving on to the interviews, and finally decided, oh wow, this is for real. Like, am I gonna do this?
And this is when you were at Triton. You were at the Triton Museum of Art in Santa Clara, chief curator and deputy director. You were there, and that was all happening at that time.
Yeah, slightly after. I mean, there was a little bit, but yeah, no, actually, yeah, the call had come out already by then, and this is just a dream in terms of working with this collection, working with artists like this, and being able to curate shows in that. Are you okay?
Well, one of my lights that make me look 22 just fell off the wall.
Ay. Well, you still look 22, so you didn't need it.
That light said, I can't do this anymore. He's not 22. Sorry about that.
No worries. Anyway, I feel like it just was meant to be. Cheech says that often, like, this is just meant to be. When they approached him 5 years ago, and it all is just history, really. Now, I mean,
difficult
very
process.
recent history.
The difficult problem, interview after interview, and
yeah, there was a panel interview. You had sat with the board. There was like an initial interview, a second interview, a third interview, and then flying out and meeting folks and interviewing with board and staff and Cheech a couple times. And yeah, it was, it's a process, as it should be.
Yes.
And
this is serious.
Along the way, I really kind of had to reflect and say, okay, am I relocating to Riverside? Am I doing this? And we'll get into my own history here, what I've done. And the thought of opening a new center was just too exciting to pass up.
You were born in Chicago, but you grew up here in Inglewood, right? But you spent most of your career up in, you went to Berkeley, so you spent your major career up in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I'm really not known at all in Southern California. Most of my work has been in the Bay Area. I worked, as I mentioned, for 16, 17 years in the arts up in the Bay Area, mostly at the Triton Museum of Art. I did a little bit at MACLA, which is in San Jose, and guest curated, like the Mission Cultural Center. I've worked at the Manetti Shrem Museum up at UC Davis. I did some guest curating, doing guest curator, an exhibition for BAMFA, which is the Berkeley Art Museum, that's co-curating with a colleague in for February. So I had my experience was mostly in the Bay Area, absolutely. But always working, with Chicanx artists and other artists as well, but from BIPOC communities. I was really interested in how museums can work in community in a way that's more equitable. And so I started as curator of education. And that's really the first entry point for a lot of marginalized communities, is going through education programs at schools, touring because you've participated through your school program. And from there, was mentored by a wonderful mentor, George Rivera, who's a former executive director of the Triton Museum. And he brought me onto the curatorial department pretty early on, and really learned on the job at the Triton. I think it's institutions like the Triton and the Riverside Art Museum while they're known to be kind of smaller, I do it in air quotes, the output at these institutions is amazing. 12 to 16 exhibitions per year, education programs that reach thousands of people. I'm really proud of that history of kind of cutting my teeth in institutions like that, where you can pivot, where you can come up with an idea and kind of run with it. And so that's kind of my trajectory in the Bay Area. But Inglewood has always been home, and LA has always been home. What's interesting now is now that I'm here back in Southern California, not quite in Los Angeles, but in Riverside, I do find myself thinking like, oh yeah, the Bay Area was home too, but always kind of wanted to represent my neighborhood and my community that really supported me a lot.
So you can come home, no matter what people say, you can come home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You mentioned about learning on the job, but that is the best way to learn, because book learning takes you this far, but when you're in the trenches, that's when you learn.
Yeah, working with community, collaborating with community partners. And, you mentioned Yolanda was one of my mentors. I've had, Chicano artists in the Bay Area really were amazing mentors to me, and very generous. And I'm indebted to them, as well as to, as I mentioned, George Rivera, who kind of took a chance on me. My education was in Chicano studies and ethnic studies, double major at Berkeley. And that taught me to understand institutional racism, understand how to be critical, learn. All of the classes I took were Chicanx art history classes that I was just really interested in the arts, some studio classes, because that's where we teach this history, is in those departments. And so I was excited to be able to work at a museum that allowed me to put that into practice. And learn. I fell on my face a couple of times, but you learn on the job. And so that's why at the Cheech, we are starting this Chicanx curatorial fellowship, where third-year students, doctoral and undergraduate students, can learn about curation as a practice, as a profession, can learn about how we as museum professionals need to really think more equitably about the way we work in community. And that's inspired by my time at the Triton under George, and I'm very excited about that, about the Cheech being a space where we can do that kind of work.
It's like you have this, a blank canvas, and you're getting to paint what the Cheech is going to be. That's incredibly exciting, and
absolutely. And I'm certainly not by myself. We have that
sure,
wonderful community. My colleagues at the Riverside Art Museum, who have been doing community work for so long. I'm getting to know folks here, we have many local universities. We have just folks that are excited to start to put some of these ideas and programs into practice. And we also have an advisory committee that will be rolling out in the summer and announcing formally later in the summer, because we know that we need that kind of support. What we're trying to do here is not just something that should have that we need people to kind of complicate what it is that we're doing and advise us and guide us. So we have a lot of folks coming to help us do that work.
That'll make you a community center like you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do have the RAM board, which has been extremely helpful, which is, I don't know what the demographics is, but we are predominantly a Latino board, and I've been really overwhelmed by just the cross section of support for the Cheech, not just from the, Latinx community there, but a lot of folks who just see this as important. Being here, that is, a community that's over 50% Latinx.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And people love Cheech. They love their art, but they love him. They want to support him. Everyone loves him.
But I've been blown away in the time that, walking maybe with Cheech and folks who from their 20s, teenagers who know who he is, and not just from Spy Kids, right? Or not just from, but they know about the albums. They know about you know, his early years. They know about, you know, the movies and you know, Born in East LA
Yeah.
and then of course folks that are older that have followed his career. He's beloved, and that's a huge help. And I think that's why, let's be clear, he, you know, he could have just collected and stopped at collecting this beautiful work. And he knocked on doors, and he felt like, this is amazing work. There's this quote that he says that he put himself particularly in this difficult position where he was promising artists, we want to have this work tour, we want to have it try, so that he'd have to produce. And you know, folks didn't say yes right away. The museum did not say yes right away.
No, he said it was a hard sell, man. You know, when they started to tour and to tremendous success, he said it was hard to
it broke records. When I went to the De Young to see it, you know, it broke records, attendance records. And so I think that speaks to not just that he wants to collect this work, but he has a bigger vision for what his collection could do, and how he can leverage his celebrity to help. You know, that's very exciting, because we need that. We need that support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could go on another hour, and I wanted to learn more about your mom. I wonder if we could do that real quick. Abelardo, let's, because your mom, you were talking about because I knew you were mentored by Yolanda and by Celia Herrera Rodriguez, and I thought maybe that's what sparked all that, but apparently your mom sparked it much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm going to try not to cry. My mom passed a couple of years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And she would be over the moon. My mom was born in Mexico. She immigrated here. Both my parents are immigrants, and she just always loved the arts. I think it was a piece of home for her here. So she would go to the, you know, Latino Film Festival. She would go to Mola. She was there whenever there was an opening. She actually just, yeah. So I feel her spirit with me in this project. And yeah, just very excited. And I wish she was here. I think she is here in some way, helping me and guiding me. But she taught all of us, actually, all of my siblings, how just to value the arts, not just to go into the world and seek careers that would be financially lucrative, but also she taught us how to be of service in our community. And she's someone who helped during the amnesty. She was, she was an inspiration to me and to my siblings. And I think I do what I do because of her. And also, you mentioned my mentors. I would be remiss to mention also Consuelo Jimenez Underwood, who is a woman that really has mentored me as well. I've been blessed with the mujeres in my life.
Your mother is with you, and she is there because she's there through you.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I feel her.
Yeah. Abelardo, I see you chomping at the bit there. Do we have any questions?
We don't have questions, but we do have some comments here on Facebook. Juan Fernandez.
I know Juan.
He's saying, she is here. Your mother is here, and she is so proud of you, Esther.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you.
And Deborah J.T. Padilla, a well-known one of friends of La Plaza and formerly at Spark. What a great interview. Maria is dynamic. She'll be an excellent steward of the Cheech. I look forward to meeting her someday. And she also told us that Wiley is Frank and Edith Wiley, founders of the Craft and Folk Art Museum in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. See, there you go. Deborah, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
And Nancy was the daughter, and the ranch was someplace on the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. So we're all learning something here today. Juan Varela says, saludos, felicidades desde Riverside.
Gracias, Juan.
And George Mesa is asking, what would be your dream exhibition?
Pardon?
What would be your dream exhibition?
There's too many. There's so many. Well, Judith's, I mentioned Judith's very quickly is a dream she's just in the short time that we've been beginning this process she's taught me so much, seeing her work. We have so many artists that are so deserving of major retrospectives, and that's what we want to do at the Cheech. We want to create this pipeline where we're looking at, we have a community gallery, which is generously sponsored by Altura Credit Union, that it will feature community work, meaning emerging artists, student work, and that's a component of our curatorial department. It's not through the education program, it's integral. So I'll be curating shows in the curatorial and in the community gallery. We'll feature emerging artists in group shows. We'll feature mid-career artists who are deserving of a solo exhibition. And we're hoping to have intergenerational dialogue. We're hoping to address these gaps. And we have resources and time. We are dedicating a full, what is it? Like 60,000 square feet to this. Every day, I keep saying, every day, every day. That blows me away. And it won't just be my curatorial perspective. We are having guest curators. We're having, like I said, that curatorial fellowship. We really want to complicate what we're putting on view so that folks feel that it's a wide net that we're casting in terms of how we're engaging around Chicanx and Latinx art.
Because there is so much, and
There's
it is
so much.
so wide.
So, yeah, I didn't answer George's question. I'm sorry, George.
Oh, that's all right. He's going to be at the reception, so he'll pin you down there.
Well, we have Raul Francisco Fernandez here on Facebook saying hello from the familia. So proud of you.
Oh, that's my brother. That's my brother.
And then Cici Segura Gonzalez. Thank you, Maria Esther. Looking forward to meeting everyone as we all are.
She's a wonderful artist in the collection who's been so just generous with her time and allowing us to market with her work and show her beautiful Soy Chicana painting that will be on view in the first iteration. So gracias, Cici. I look forward to meeting you finally in person.
All right, and here on Zoom, we have Rafael Perea de la Cabada saying muchas gracias for this interview. So muchas gracias, Maria Esther. Muchas gracias, Dan. This was incredible. I really enjoyed it.
And you all need to come out to the Cheech, please.
I'll see you next Thursday. I'll see you Thursday.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking the time. You probably are totally unconscious, but you did really well.
I hope I was coherent. We're all on, what is it? We're working on fumes, but we're so excited. We are really excited. I keep saying that because I can't think of a synonym for excited right now, but that times, the
adrenaline has got to be electric around there, I would think.
Yeah, there's still folks working tonight. I'm supposed to be going back.
Nah, put your feet up. Watch the Golden Girls or something.
Absolutely. Thank you both for inviting me.
You.
I was happy to come, and I look forward to coming back when a little more rested and not quite so many ojeras. And
we will do that. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Adrian Sanchez, thank you for speaking about the great work that Cheech has done and future endeavors for the center. I'll be flying in from Austin. And then Salvador Correa, thank you for this interview. So thank you so much for joining in. If you did not catch the entire interview conversation between Dan and Maria Esther, or if you'd like to see it again, we'll be posting it on our YouTube page at La Plaza LA. We'll remain here on our Facebook page at La Plaza LA and also on our website, lapca.org. Let's see. Thanks again to our sponsor, Union Pacific Foundation, and to the Institute of Museum and Library Services. To let you know what's coming up here. Excuse me. Tonight.
Oh, the excitement's too much.
I know, too much. Tonight at La Plaza here until 10 o'clock, salsa. Bring your dance shoes. We have a dance floor, bebidas, comida, everything. So free music. Who could ask for anything more? And then tomorrow, the Cuban American Cultural Festival, actually the Cuban American Music Festival here from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock with Hermen Olivara, trombone, and a bunch of other bands, cigar smoking and some lechon and some mojitos. It's a paid event, but you can still get tickets on our website lapca.org, and also on Tickery, TICKERI.com. And then finally, we have Deborah Padilla saying, Melissa Richardson Banks shared a while that Chicano art is American art.
True.
Will
That's-
that t-shirt be available?
Okay.
Oh, well, stay tuned.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that, I guess.
We'll
All right.
see you next week. Thank you.
Gracias.
We'll see you
Bye-bye.
next week. All right, bye-bye. Thank you so much, Maria Esther. Thank you, Dan. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.